Okay, so here's a quick video. I found it easier to just get on a video and show and talk rather than trying to type on Facebook. Here's a quick video about using the Swiss ball to establish an appropriate base. Now, the first thing to understand about the PST is the PST is supposed to be mindless. It's supposed to take the thinking out, especially for golf, but really for all sports. There's enough thinking going on. If you were to just tell somebody all the things it took, muscle activation, what muscle groups, all the feelings, all the things that they should be doing, all the cues, to try to get in a setup posture, they would be paralyzed, just like they are in their golf swing. They're worried about everything under the sun in their golf swing. The idea behind PST is to take it out, to make it a feel process, not a thought process. So the Swiss ball is a cue that I've used with great success to create good connection to the ground. It's not the only cue, but I found it to be the best cue. Now, the question that was posted very nicely about this process, talking about in and out, in versus out. Pushing. Are we trying to push in? Or are we trying to push out? We're not trying to push in, nor are we trying to push out. We're trying to co-activate to stabilize. The two things you're doing, you're creating tension, co-activating. You're co-activating internal, external rotators. You're co-activating abductor, adductors, okay? To hold a position. You're not bending the knees in. You're not pushing the knees out. You're holding a position in which the knees are in line with the ankles and the feet in line with the hip. So it's just like a basic posture you would teach somebody to do a squat or any kind of athletic movement. We don't want the knees in and we don't want the knees out. We want the knees in line. If we have a shoulder width or slightly wider than shoulder width stance, we want the knees in a line directly over the ankles, and we want them in, so from when I'm looking down, I don't want my knees bent in and I don't want my knees bent out. I want my knees right down on top of my feet, right down on top of my ankle, right in line here. Okay, the ball, we're not pushing in, nor are we pushing out. What we're doing is using the resistance of the ball to create a co-contraction to hold that position in place. You're activating internal and external rotators at the same time, and I'm going to show you in a second. Adductors as well as abductors at the same time to hold that posture. Okay, so all the muscle, so it's active stability, but we want also to be connected to the ground. So part of that is also not just squeezing our knees in, is collecting ourselves, contracting, being active although we're not moving, and digging into the ground. So it's almost like you should feel almost as you stabilize your lower body in this posture, you're going to feel almost like this corkscrew into the ground. This corkscrew where your feet are gripping into the ground and they feel solid. You could even just work the feet in there and grip into the ground and feel solidly connected. Okay, so the Swiss ball. Now I've tried many implements between the knees, as well as tubing, things that are pushing the legs out, or pulling the legs in and push out against. It doesn't really matter. I've just found that this is the easiest, simplest thing to use. Okay, so it's not the only thing that can be used, but it works the most effectively, and it's the simplest to use. Remember, we're trying to turn the brain off. We're trying to get away from, activate this, feel your weight here, do this, do that, line up this, stick your butt out, turn this, have a curve, not have a curve. We're trying to get that out of the equation and just have feels, okay? So first of all, you have to pick an appropriate size Swiss ball. You have different sizes and shapes of people. Not every ball is going to work. I have found that this medium-sized ball, this is listed as a 55. I think it may be actually a 45 in some cases, but this medium-sized ball works well, and you can see I don't have it inflated all the way. I've got give in it, okay? Here's the idea. I want the ball just big enough so that in my normal width stance, when I get this ball between my knees, I have to open my legs up enough to get it in there, so that what I do is when I squeeze back to a neutral position, if my knees are buckled in, the ball's not big enough. And you don't want the knees buckled in. And this isn't a pinch my knees together act. This isn't internal rotation. I'm not trying to pinch my knees together. What I'm trying to do is get this between, right in here, right in through the knees. The ball, I've had things where we put them right here, they don't feel as good. The ball fills up the whole inner thigh. It feels comfortable. So that's why we use it. It's easy and it's comfortable. Put it in here. What I'm doing here is I'm adducting, I'm internally rotating to get back in position so that I line up. But the ball's pushing out against me. Not a ton, just a little bit. So what does that mean? Well, that means I have to, I'm pushing in, I'm activating both internal and external rotation to hold this position. I'm holding, not just squeezing in, but I'm holding, co-contracting, adductors, abductors, internal rotators, external rotators. I'm facilitating this position by holding that action, okay? I'm not pinching my knees in, and I'm not trying to push my knees out. I'm trying to hold a neutral position and what happens is, when I push in, I feel myself pushing into the ground. So now I'm really gripping the ground to maintain this position. If I don't have the ball, I can force that position now that I've learned it, but the average person when they're first starting to learn how to really grip the ground, they stand like this. They're not gripping the ground, right? We put this in there, all of a sudden they have to grip the ground to apply that pressure, to apply that force. So it's a dummy, it's a take the brain out of it equation. The other nice thing is when you activate all these muscles to hold an effective posture, you're also going to get lower abdominal hollowing or bracing, all right? Because you're going to feel, in order to pull it, you're also engaging in the lower abdominals. Again, when you don't have it for a beginner, they don't know how to do that. They don't know how to brace their core, brace the lower abdominals in a good, effective way. You know, pushing with just enough resistance to brace. When you do this, it's almost an automatic. You almost have to brace without even knowing it, right? So you're in this posture, and this now gives you an effective lower body connection, effective posture. Are your glutes turned on? Yes. Are all these muscles turned on? Yes. But you don't have to think about it. And where's the weight? It's almost impossible for the weight to be on the toes. It's almost impossible for the weight to be on the heels. The weight is pressed through the ball of the foot, through the meat of the foot, right in here, down into the ground. The whole surface of the foot is in contact as opposed to being this way, this way, this way. The whole surface of the foot connected to the ground. The bulk of the pressure right through, below the application of the force, right into the ground. And we have a solid corkscrew connection. My toes are like this in my shoes. I'm gripping hard. I'm maintaining. I'm not trying to push in, nor am I not trying to push out. I'm trying to maintain this actively. I can just stand here. This isn't active. If I get active, now my muscles are firing. This is what we want. We want some tension in there. We want some stability. We don't want rigidity. We just want stability. Enough tension that we can maintain orientation while at the same time allowing freedom of movement, and at the same time allowing some pre-stretch and contraction, some utilization of the sort of the stretch shorten cycle across from the lower body up. So this idea of using the Swiss ball is just the best way I found to get people in this position actively. Whether you're swinging a golf club or you're squatting some weight or whatever it might be, I can stand in this posture and I'm just floating. If I dig in, I look the same pretty much, except for the fact that these things are all rock hard because they're all firing, right? So if I could stand like this in this posture and not a thing's going on down here, I have nothing going on. But if I do this, I don't look any different, but these muscles are rock hard because they're digging in and I'm connected. So now when I take my golf swing, I'm prepared to fire my lower body. If I'm like this, I'm not prepared. Now I have to prepare and I lose that timing. Milliseconds of timing make all the difference in the downswing. It takes place in less than half a second. So this idea of using the Swiss ball is this idea of getting in a posture and being active about that posture even when you're stationary. Even when you're just isometrically controlling. Now, the trick to the golf swing is maintaining that posture, maintaining that activity, that connection to the ground while you're dynamically allowing range of motion. Boom, boom. That has to take place while this is connected to the ground. Can you lift your heel and still be connected? Absolutely. And if I'm just up here floating around, I'm not connected. But if I'm here, I'm connected. I can lift my heel and I'm still very stable and I'm very active, and bam, I can go to town on my downswing. Boom, right? Same thing, you know, with the different concepts of, you know, how much rotation in the backswing and all that kind of stuff. It doesn't matter. We're not saying stay rigid in your golf swing. The PST has nothing to do with golf swing mechanics. It has to do with activating muscles in certain patterns. So you can be connected to the ground and you can have a very static, very restricted lower body. Plenty of golfers golf this way with great success. You can have a loose, fluid, lift the heel, snap it down and go to town. I mean, golfers do well with that as well. It doesn't matter the style you employ when you swing. It's the fact that every one of those golfers, if they're an elite level competitor, is active and connected to the ground. Active and connected to the ground is the key. So this is only teaching somebody how to be active in this posture. This is the thing. I'm active. Right now, my muscles are firing like crazy. Internal, external rotators, abductor, adductors, glutes, low abdominals. I'm firing because I'm connected. Look, I'm not firing. I'm not firing right now. Now I'm firing. Now I'm connected. Does this mean I'm rigid? Heck no. I can do all kinds of things from this position, and I can do it dynamically. Okay, so think of the Swiss ball exercises. When we add the Swiss ball, we connect to the ground. When you connect to the ground, you turn on neural pathways. You elicit myofascial connections. And you're going to create better differentiation. You're going to create a better platform. Your lower body has to be in a position at the top of, or even before the swing to initiate and drive the downswing. If it's floating, it has to get prepared and you lose that time. And then what? Upper body moves and this got lost because it wasn't ready. So we need it to be connected to the ground, actively connected to the ground with just enough tension to stabilize, but enough pliability to be dynamic. And that's what this Swiss ball is doing. It's not a bend your knees in, push your knees out. It's a hold actively a posture while connected to the ground. If you squeeze this ball right and you actively hold this posture, your toes are going to go like this. I don't care who you are. I don't have to say anything to you. That's the key. Is I don't have to say, oh, grip the ground, grip your toes, and then you got somebody going, oh, how do I grip my toes? I mean, that's what you get all day, every day in golf. You get this, oh, how do I grip my toes, and what plane am I on, and stuff like that. Their brain is working overtime. I stick this between their knees, and they may need a little cueing if they have some issues. They don't quite get it at first or whatever. But 9 times out of 10, the first time they put this through and I get them set up, boom, I guarantee you their toes go like this. Take their shoes off. They're not like this anymore. They're like this. And I didn't say a blessed thing to them. They just connected to the ground. And I can tell you right now, when they hold that posture, it's work. And they're active. They don't know that they're active, but they're active. And then we teach them how to be mobile while being active. Now you're starting to build the basic fundamental biomechanics. Don't think of biomechanics as all this complicated anatomical stuff or all these complicated swing planes and everything else. I mean, that's all good, but think of what we're looking at, simple stuff. Here's a simple path, a simple biomechanical skill. Foundation, active. Gripping the ground, muscles active, solid foundation, right? But in being active, now I want to be able to induce mobility on top of being stable, or mobility in conjunction with stability, right? Enough tension to hold positions and orientations, but not so much tension where I'm rigid and I can't move. That's a biomechanical skill. That's a skill that they need to develop. So a great question, and hopefully this helps to change the mindset. Don't overthink the PST. Certainly don't have your athletes overthinking the PST. And this is a good dialogue because this Swiss ball exercise, we started this PST 15 years ago. We were doing this in 95, 96. It's been around for a really long time. Lots and lots of people do it now. And it's gotten, how things go, it's gotten distorted in terms of what it is. It's not a backswing separation drill. It's a hold, a posture of stability, an appropriate posture with the knees. We don't want them out. We don't want them in. Boom, right in line. Hold that posture actively while connected to the ground and activating all the necessary muscles. Glutes, lower abdominals, internal, external, abductor, adductor, everything fired, even the calf muscles, the feet, everything. Everything's connected, active, but pliable, enough to allow for movement. And then be able to, the key in the golf swing is being able to hold orientations while moving dynamically. It's not a static, rigid activity, right? So you're blending enough stability to maintain certain postures and orientations while at the same time moving dynamically. So the Swiss ball has evolved dramatically over the last 15 years. I have tried everything under the sun, both pushing out and pushing in. The Swiss ball just works the best. And that's why we stick with it, because it works the best. If we find something that works equally as good or better, I will definitely start to employ it. Right now, the Swiss ball makes the most sense. And it's the most flexible, and it's really inexpensive. You can buy them for 10, 15 bucks, Dick's. You can just go grab one. It's real simple. boom. And we can use it for so much. Let's say we want to work it, instead of golf swing patterns, let's say we want to hold the lower body active and we want to hold a medicine ball and just do quick, explosive, boom. Chest pass, one arm chest pass, so we're, boom. We can stay connected and we can teach the body to root and connect and stabilize and create active motion. Look, my lower body can still rotary, create quite a bit of snap speed, bam, and then connect through my core. So the Swiss ball is really effective that way. It allows you to do all kinds of great things. We can get bigger ones and get guys in pitching motions and all that. So it's just it's just a really good way to keep the lower body active while it's stabilizing and gripping the ground. Hopefully this video helps.